What's up everyone, it's Speed here, and in today's video, I want to talk about what I think will be coming in patch 7.23. Now, obviously I don't know if it's actually going to be called 7.23, but just for simplicity's sake, we'll call it that. Yeah, I'm going to give a couple of my hopes, my wishes, and then generally what will most likely happen. At least, I genuinely hope this is a big patch. Like, hopefully this is not over speculation, and this is really just one of the biggest patches in a while, because frankly, I don't want to say Dota needs it. I don't think it needs it, but I think we all really want it, so let's talk.
This pro guide you're about to see is one of hundreds, just like it, over at gameleap.com. Gameleap is your #1 stop to become a specialist in your desired role fast. Check us out today with the discount link in the description below to unlock your hidden potential, but for now, let's hop into the video.
So the first thing that I hope that they do to kind of reinvigorate the game is come out with some sort of a Christmas event. And I know Christmas is not for a while, right? It's November. We have quite a while, right? Almost a full month, right? Around there. And yes, it will be a while till Christmas. However, I really hope there's some build up, some like battle pass or some event that they do to really just spike the game and spike interest again. Because yes, I think a patch will just reinvigorate it well enough if it's big enough, but I think something like a Christmas event that has a lot of new skins, events you can play, even a mini game, something like the Year of the Beast that they did a long time ago, anything like that I think would be fantastic. So obviously I'm hoping for that. I feel like it's possible only because it's been a while since the last patch, so they've had a lot of time to develop things like this. But who knows? I guess we'll see. Moving on to more of the girth of the video, I'm going to start off with every single hero I think will get buffed. Now it's a lot, and therefore it is unlikely that it is all of them. However, I'm going to talk about all of them that I think should get buffed. We'll see what happens in the patch. Starting off from the top, we're going to go down from strength heroes. We have Brewmaster. This hero's laning stage is quite weak, does have a very strong level 6 spike, and I think the hero has like some potential with specific lanes, but for the most part, it doesn't push towers particularly well. You know, you could theoretically ulti for towers, but that's not really a great option. You don't push in lanes that fast. You don't have a stun. It's hard to initiate with this hero. You don't even necessarily want to be the frontliner because you have to get your ulti off. So, like, in general, I think Brew kind of has issues with this current meta, where a lot of the offlaners are these, like, tanky heroes. Not all of them, of course, but I don't think his role is really... It's a bit weird. Next up is Ursa. This hero as a roamer really needs some buff to stones. I mean, like, the fact that you just can't have impact because you casted your spells just feels weird. It's like, it's basically telling you not to have impact. Not really, obviously, guys, but I kind of mean that to some extent. You know what I mean? It's like, why does this hero not have stones sometimes? Just like, also its numbers are kind of meh. It has a hard time laning. Its mid game is okay if you can get there and come off of a, mediocre at minimum laning stage. So yeah, he'll probably get buffed. Mars. In general, I think just Mars needs a slight numbers nerf. I don't think the hero is that abysmal, to be honest, but it lost the ability to solo kill people easily, and that really hurt Mars. Next up is Underlord. In general, I don't know how I feel about Underlord. I think the hero has some potential, especially against specific matchups. The issue is, like, I think it's very specific matchups, and it's weird, because, like, I'd be like, oh, maybe he beats Lifestealer, but does he really beat Lifestealer? Oh, maybe he can do well against, like, Sven, but does he really beat Sven? Does he do well against Wraith King? Yeah, but does he really pressure him? That's always my issue with Underlord. It's like, do you really pressure these lanes, right? Do you do enough, and can you make enough plays, and do your spells have enough impact in teamfights to actually pick the hero? And I think a lot of teams definitely do not think so. Next up is Ark Worden. I honestly don't know what you do with Ark Worden. This hero always feels to me like it's on the brink of being very, very good. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like, the potential of the hero is just so high, so if you even buff it slightly, I feel it becomes, maybe not slightly, if you buff it pretty significantly, I guess is a better way to put it, then it could just all of a sudden become broken just because of how the, the kit works. So I don't know, I think he'll get buffed, but probably only slightly. Next up is Clinks. I feel like Valve loves Clinks, or at least Ice Frog, because this hero for a while was getting like buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed, and I really think it will get buffed again. I haven't seen much Clinks. I think it's a pretty decent pub hero, but in the pro scene it has issues with staying alive, and that's about it. Next up is Lone Druid. I mean, this guy's got a hard life, right? Lone Druid's got he's got a rough one going for him. I mean, my man, he's got a pretty good laning stage. It's pretty good, but like, that's about it. That's about it. He can hit towers, like, he shreds towers, but other than that, I don't know. Like, what does Lone Druid actually do? Maybe that's good enough, but I think he'll get some numbers buffs on the bear. I think Lone Druid should be just pushed towards the bear build and just maybe some of his talents buffed or something like that, but I think my man will be in hardcore meta next patch. I'm expecting a massive low Druid buff. Next up is PA. Now, I want to be careful in saying this because I think PA has some potential, especially if you pair her with Mag. What I'm going to say later in the video is talk about Empower nerfs, because I think in general, Empower will get nerfed, and then PA will not be nearly as strong, because at this tournament, I don't think I've seen a single PA without Mag, and frankly, I would not recommend picking PA without Mag ever. The hero struggles in lane and does not farm that fast. So I think if you don't have Mag, this hero is pretty abysmal. So yes, I do think PA needs to get buffed, and Mag will get nerfed, which means that the hero will stay in a better place. Next up is SF. I mean, SF just really has this issue of staying alive, and in team fights, it's really hard to use your spells, which is just simply an issue. It's just hard. Like, executing raises in these, like, fast-paced fights that we're seeing a lot in the pro scene, or in any really pubs nowadays, it's hard. It's genuinely hard to just execute raises and get your ulti off effectively. That's just my take on SF. Also, he doesn't really flash farm the fastest in Dota, and I don't think he makes the best use of the gold. I'd always rather have a Leshrac over SF any day of the week, or like Gyro. Next up, we have TB. I think TB has some like decent lane partners, like Lich and Coddle, but I don't think it's good enough. He just struggles in lane too much, and ever since he got a lot of nerfs that disabled his ability to farm effectively in the jungle, or as effectively in the jungle, he still goes very quickly. He's had some issues. In addition, his illusions have gotten nerfed in the past, and overall, I just think TB just needs some of his numbers back. His numbers just got ruined because he was like the best carry for a while. For a long time, it's just like you pick TB and you just, even if you have a bad landing stage, you just split push all game and then are just the late game god of Dota, and it's like, TB again. Next up is Troll. This hero's always weird to me because it's like a pretty good laner, or at least was. I feel like it's alright right now, but the issue is like playing this hero mid-game and late game. It's like, if you need a DPS item and a BKB to fight, otherwise you sort of just get kited. There's a lot of heroes that just directly counter you. Like, if you play against a Winter Wyvern, it's just GG. You actually can't do anything. Even someone like Coddle, it's just GG. So, like, I think that's the main problem with Troll. He can get countered by singular heroes, which is a problem for me. Next up on the list is Ursa. Ursa will hopefully get buffed eventually. Ursa just needs the ability to, like, flash farm a bit better. I think they need to buff his shock, Aftershock, to give him the ability to push in some waves. I think if he had that, he'd be extremely strong. Maybe even too strong. Who knows? Bane is a hero that, overall, is, in my opinion, on the brink of becoming broken. I know that sounds weird. I think Bane is a bit undervalued right now. I think the hero has a pretty good laning stage and actually can have a lot of teamfight impact, as well as Enfeeble being fairly undervalued right now. Like, just looking at the numbers of Enfeeble, I know it's tough because it's hard to put a lot of points in Enfeeble when you have to put points in Brain Sap and Nightmare. You know, like, he has a lot of skills you want, but I feel like that's almost a good thing, right? Just the fact that you want all these skills, but just looking at his numbers, Enfeeble maxed out gives you 125 attack speed reduction, like 125, which is absurdly high, like unbelievably high, with 60% status resistance reduction, right? 60% is a insanely high number on a 6-second cooldown. So, like, the issue with this is that, once again, how do you max out Enfeeble, right? If you max out Enfeeble, you don't have the best catch, and you don't have much damage. Like, well, at least you personally. The thing is, like, if people can figure out, like, some build where you go, like, 2 points in Brain Sap, 2 points in Nightmare, and then max out Enfeeble, maybe? Or, like, find out a way to make that work, and then he gets some numbers buffs, I really think Bane has a lot of potential. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my take. I think Bane is pretty undervalued. Disruptor as a support in general right now, I don't think Disruptor's bad. I actually think Disruptor's pretty good, but I don't know. It's weird, because if you guys have been watching the Major, you might have seen Tim's play it. I believe it was Tim's. Am I mistaken? Tim's played it, and they picked it with the Naga. And when you get that Ags combo going, you're running the most destructive combos in the game. But, like, other than that, it feels a bit weird to play Disruptor and actually use his ulti. It can be a bit hard. It's a high impact spell for sure. Like, you can potentially solo win a team fight with it, but it's very, very difficult to use. And Disruptor from behind feels pretty bad. Disruptor from ahead feels fantastic, but from behind, this hero really struggles. It doesn't push in lanes that great. The Q is alright if you max it. I think if you're playing Disruptor, you should max your Q, personally. It does quite a bit of damage and allows you to actually, you know, defend towers as a 5. So I don't know. I think this hero is similar to Bane, is on the brink of becoming pretty good again with a couple of number buffs. Poor Darkseer. Ion Shell just needs a buff. That's all I'm going to say. Lion. I think for Lion, he needs some sort of a laning stage buff. Even though he's actually decent in lane, because you can spam the Q. Like, if you're playing Lion, you should really spam Q. It's not good enough. I don't know what else to say. Maybe they can give him some movement speed buff and he could just zoom around the map. Nature's Prophet. This hero will receive the biggest buff of patch 7.23 for sure, because it's my favorite hero, so it will undoubtedly receive the biggest buff. That's just a fact. And yes, I'm very convinced of this. The hero will receive its Wrath of Nature will be reduced down to a 20-second cooldown, and then I think we'll be in a good spot. Necro is fine. I think he just needs some number buffs, and he'll be good again, because he's still fine in pubs. Quap, same thing as Necro. I think, like, I mean, we've seen people do fine with it. Beast Coast just eliminated the Panda team. It was an AOI EE stack in the major with Quap. I think Quap's fine. I think Quap can have impact. Just needs a bit of a number buff so it can actually like push in waves better. Have a slightly better laning stage. Even though its laning stage is good, maybe even like slightly better to make her like a Giga lane dominator. And that's just kind of what she is then, like just this insane lane dominator. Yeah, who knows? Maybe that's what we'll see. Silencer as a support. I feel like this hero in pubs is really good, like low MMR pubs especially. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like the Q is potentially broken if people can't pay attention to it. You just die over time, which is really nice. But Global is a really hard spell to use effectively. It feels like you almost have to draft around it to some extent, like you need initiators to pair with it, which is actually totally doable. Yeah, I don't know. I think Silencer is also a hero. Even one of my friends said that he thinks Silencer can become a very strong core soon with the right buffs, and maybe that's what we'll see actually. Next up is Visage, and I'm actually scared about this hero. If this hero gets buffed, I think it would definitely become one of the top tier heroes of Dota. Already as is, I think it's undervalued, especially for pubs, where you can come out of the laning stage, and when you get your familiars, you just flash farm and then take over early game fights because of the pure amount of damage that your nuke does, as well as familiars in combination. So yeah, I think Visage is pretty close to being broken. And then finally, last buff. I know I've been here for a while. Thank you for staying with me, guys. I appreciate it. But Witch Doctor, for his spells, he needs Maledict to stay the same. And then his stun, I think, needs to be a bit more reliable. Maybe increase the bounces. I want to say you increase the bounces by 2 per each level, but that sounds maybe too good. Maybe they just buffed the heal to make him like some sort of sustain hero, but I don't think that makes sense with his kit. It's like 3-year spells are DPS. I think you want to play Witch Doctor like a DPS support, not like a Dazzle. Speaking of Dazzle, I think Dazzle's good, but going back to Witch Doctor, yeah, maybe Death Ward receives a 10-second cooldown buff, which would then allow him to make plays more often, and I think that'd be pretty reasonable. Moving on to nerfs, there's obviously a lot less, and it will be the end of the video, so stay with me. I really think in terms of nerfs, there's a few heroes that we've seen at the major that are just way too good right now and really disruptive to the game to some extent, if you kind of know what I mean. It's like, it's not really fun for people to play against them, especially as they've been, basically all of these have been good for forever now. Some of them have come to fruition as of late, where they become more popular, but overall, let's talk about the nerfs. So first off, we have Shaker Ag's nerf. If you haven't seen Morphling Shaker, you're really missing out. If you haven't used it, you're even more so missing out. Just in general, it's insane. Like, it's insane. It's really insane. You just have 2 Fissures. Morphling one-shots people. So I don't think the solution is to nerf Morphling, because I think Morphling is pretty trash. Outside of having a Earthshaker, I don't think you really want Morphling for the most part. I believe VG was picking it, and like, sure, if you have a Morphling spammer in the right lanes, you can make it work. But overall, I don't think Morphling needs a nerf. I think Earthshaker Axe needs a particular nerf. I don't know what that would be though. I don't even know if nerfing the Axe, like, because you wouldn't want to kill it, right? So I don't even know if they like slightly nerf the Axe, if that would kill the combo. I feel like the combo would still be good enough. I'm not really certain how you go about that, right? I feel like it's a bit difficult. Next up is Magnus Nerve. I don't even know if you nerf the hero or rework him. I have a couple heroes I think that just need reworks. I was considering putting Magnus in here. Empower as a concept is a bit rough. It's kind of like Alk as a concept, where you just play this really AFK Dota that just sits behind towers and defends, which is fine, you know, like, you can play a style of Dota, that's okay, right? By all means, you know, that's fine. There's different styles of Dota, right? But Empower, just for the longest of time, has been frustratingly strong now. I think the hero has like a 57% win rate at the tournament over a lot of games, which is obviously pretty solid. Not broken, clearly, so maybe some nerfs will do it justice, but like, how many times can you nerf Empower and it still be good? Like, that's my question. Does it need like a pretty big nerf? But then will the hero become irrelevant, right? Like, what do you do to Magnus? I think what they should do is try to buff his other spells and nerf the Empower pretty hard, and that will kind of like shift him more towards this like playmaker, which could be cool actually, right? If he could be like some sort of like tower defender with his Q, and playmaker with his E, if it was a bit easier to use to some extent. I don't know. Curious. those are my ideas. Moving on, we have Night Stalker Rags. Night Stalker Carry has been a highlight of this tournament, and I think it will just get nerfed in terms of numbers a little bit, like a cooldown nerf to how often you can use it. And yeah, that's about it. Chalker for Coddle will get nerfed, in my opinion. I think the amount of seconds it reduces a spell is way too high, right? It should be reduced to around 5 at max, in my opinion, and go like 2, 3, 4, 5 is pretty reasonable. Because currently it goes 4, 5, 6, 7, so I think they'll reduce it by 2 at all levels, which is pretty harsh, but like, I don't think you want to crush Coddle. I think they should leave Blinding Light alone and make him annoying in lane and all. But then also in addition to that, reduce the radius of his ulti again. They buffed it in combination with buffing his Blinding Light, and then Coddle was just broken. So I think they should nerf those two and leave his Blinding Light alone. Moving on, I think Chen needs some rework. I don't even want to discuss what I think that would be. I have no idea. Frankly, Chen is just a whack hero that does way too much. Who knows? Who honestly knows? I don't know. I don't know what you do to Chen. Same thing with Alk, guys. Like, I don't know. I honestly have no idea how you nerf these heroes or change them, because their concepts are just very good for Dota. Being able to build around this like heal strat or just this hero that allows you to sustain everyone. Maybe you could just nerf the numbers again. I don't know when Chen becomes bad though. Like, how many numbers can you nerf? Because currently he does everything. As a 5, you can get farmed. It's like, it's insane. I actually don't know what Chen doesn't do. I don't know how you rework him. Same thing with Alk. I can't even think of it. If you have suggestions, leave them in the comment section down below. I'm curious because I've been thinking about this a bit. And frankly, I'm struggling to think of ideas besides just completely reworking them. And finally, just to give 5 heroes that I think will just get straight up nerfed. I won't talk about why or anything like that, but we have Gyro, Ogre, Lina, Mirana, and Void. These heroes have just been strong for a very long time. Gyro is one of the best flex picks in the game. Ogre is just a very solid 5. Bloodlust is extremely good just at any game on any hero. Your stun is super reliable. You scale well. You have a GPM you can buy on Midas, as we've seen from Fata, that allows him to scale into the late game as a 5. Lina is just probably one of the best 4s right now. Dominant laning stage and really good mid game, right? You shove waves like crazy and have good team fight impact. Mirana is just Mirana. It's still Mirana. You still have Arrow. It's still good. And Void, to finish off this video, is just ridiculous. Void is just yuck. Good laning stage, good mid game, good late game. I honestly don't know when Void is bad. I don't think there is a time he's bad. He loses close to no lanes. Like, maybe Veno is the worst one I can think of. But overall, like, it is pretty rough, right? Like, it's honestly pretty rough. And honestly, Void is just way too good. The hero is just way too good. I don't know what you do, once again, to nerf Void. I feel like all these heroes might get reworks. Hopefully, this is like a huge patch where this all happens. And yeah, bless up, guys. So if you enjoyed the video, please do like and subscribe to help the channel grow. I'm really expecting this patch to be wonderful. I really hope it's wonderful. I hope they do a lot of great things that enable Dota to come back to its state of greatness. But I guess we'll have to see, right? I guess we will have to see. I have no idea if this will work out. I don't know if it will go well. Hopefully it does. I honestly don't know. I don't want to say I'm losing faith because I love this game, and Ice Frog has done fantastic things in the past, but I'm a bit nervous. Hoping for the best. We'll see what happens, and hopefully I'll see you in the patch.
Are you tired of being hard stuck at your rank? Over at gameleap.com, we have a library of hundreds of guides authored by pro players and coaches covering literally every aspect of Dota. Whether you're looking to master a new hero or role, or just polish up your existing skills, GameLeap is the proven place for competitive gamers to hone their craft and unlock their secret potential. Hit the link on screen right now to take advantage of our special offer for a 25% discount, guys. 25%, and start your journey today.